Welcome to the Ask Lee segment of my channel, and if you have any questions regarding magic, spirituality, witchcraft, demonolatry, the occult, whatever it may be, then all you have to do is drop it into the comments of any of the Ask Lee videos and I will add it to the queue. And I do these every Wednesday, so just look out for your questions. Welcome to my channel. You are entering the world of magic and mysticism with your host, Lee W. Johnson. Keep the lights on and help improve the channel by becoming a supporter for just $2.99 per month. Hit the join button. Alright then, back to the questions. Let's begin with this one. Is from Aries Star 85. Hi Lee, thank you again for another amazing video. I work with ancient Egyptian deities lately. Anubis has been saying to me about necromancy and to call on demon boon. Are there other demons that can help me grow in necromancy? Alright, I'm going to definitely recommend two books from Esconoli. It's Honoring Death and Keys of Orcat. I did actually go into Keys of Orcat and I wrote down the list of spirits that are mentioned listed in that book that you can work with for necromancy. And remember, this is when we're talking about this, it's all to do with the underworld, the dead moving across. It may involve graveyard work, anything to do with death and dying, really. So if you were to continue with your Egyptian deities, you've also got Aken, Amher, Nehebka, and Nephthys. If you were to go into the Dukant hierarchy, there's I can't speak today. Eurynomus, Bulberith, and Baba'al. In the Greek, Hecate, Thanatos, Hades. And if you were to go into the Goetia, the list there is Beleth, Bifrons, Gamagin, Murmur, and Belial. So these are the spirits that are mentioned in that specific book, Keys of Orcat, but I would definitely recommend getting hold of them. Honoring Death is your first book. Start with that one and then go into Keys of Orcat. They kind of lead on to each other or from each other. And Keys of Orcat is slightly more advanced, so definitely start with Honoring Death by S. Connolly. And I'll actually list those books below, so you can, again, affiliate links, so it helps me out as well if you purchase the books through Amazon through those links. Okay, so that's that one. The next one is from Lira666. Hey Lee, in a world flooded with literature on the occult, sifting BS from any approximation of the truth can be difficult. Truth being subjective in my view within this context. What would be red flags for you when reading any material on the occult? Intuition has always guided me personally, and I find instinctively opposed to fixed instructions with warnings not to depart of the prescribed method. What other flags have you found reoccurring in your practice? Hail the ancient ones. Alright, I actually want to start with that, the whole idea of fixed instructions with warnings not to depart of the prescribed method. Now, we do say if anybody says my way is my way or the highway, I have the one truth, follow me and nobody else, I'm the only person who's right, those type of things, stay away from, absolutely stay away from. However, if you are reading a source or you are being taught by somebody, whether it's taught through a book or taught personally, video course, whatever it is, if you are being taught a particular system, Stick to the system while you're learning it. Don't diverge and start trying to change things as you are in during the process of learning it. You need to stick to the prescribed method for a very specific purpose, and that's to learn that system. Once you've learned the system, then you can start diverting, you can start altering things and changing things to enhance that system for your own personal use. But while you're learning the system, do not diverge. Stick to it as prescribed. Okay, so that specifically would not be in the bullshit range. That's very sound advice, actually. But if somebody is saying, their way is the only way, that's a big, huge red flag. Other things might be referring to people and sources which you know to be bad. There are certain situations where the person who is citing the source doesn't actually know what the background may be that you have already come across. They may only come across it later, and then they change their mind and they start taking those sources out of their references. So do bear that in mind. They may not be aware why the source that they're citing is wrong or bad or negative or neo-Nazi material or something like that. So do bear that in mind, and if you are in contact with them, just relay that information to them. Allow them to go and check that out for themselves and make their own minds up. If they continue with that source after becoming aware of it, then that's a red flag. If the source you come across is an old source and you've seen people talking about it and saying that the information that they provide is false, that's an obvious one. The difficulty is that some people will ignore that, and they've found the person to be valid for them, so they continue using that source and they continue citing that source. Again, that's coming back to somebody who is aware of the information being provided as false, but ignoring that fact because it's something that they believe in, but it's just blatantly false. Coming back to authors from the 90s and such, DJ Conway, Douglas Monroe, these kind of authors were basically publicly shamed for the information they provided, but they still provided it anyway. They still continued with their rhetoric, and that's therefore a big red flag. It is difficult to sift out the bullshit from the truth, and at the same time, as you said, truth is subjective. My worldview is different from somebody else's worldview. Therefore, a particular thing that I find to be bullshit, they may find to be truth. But it's not something that is absolute truth. It's a subjective truth. So, that gets difficult. But, historical facts and things like that, that's, a blatant, straightforward, in-your-face type of bullshit. I'm actually editing this part quite a lot because it's very difficult to try and figure out what the red flags are. Absolutely, you can't really say. So you're going to have a lot of jumps in this part as I edit. I think it really does come down to check sources. If you are studying a particular thing, get different opinions. Look at 10 different authors and check out the bibliography in the back, or the further reading, or the references that they actually cite. Are those references solid references? Have they actually looked at the proper sources? And stay away from anybody who says, I have the only truth. You have to follow me. But if anybody says, while studying my system, stick to the prescribed method, that's absolutely sound. It's really about checking sources. If anybody has presented a book, check their sources, see where they're actually taking references from. Having said that, my first book, The Reality of Things, I actually did a revision of it last year. I think it was last year, or the year before, and all of the references and sources that, not all of them, but most of them that I actually used in the book were actually websites. And when I was going through the whole thing again, majority of the websites have gone. So even though the references are still there, I've had to say, sorry, the website has been brought down or pulled down or disappeared or no longer in use. So I'm actually going to have to go back to that book again, I think, and do another revision, which actually where I can find the sources somewhere else. And that's going to be a bit difficult, but I think what I'll do is I'm going to actually do another revision of that book and add a further reading book, a further reading section in the back of the book, with various other sources. But having said that, go and check sources. My own books don't have it really. But anyway, check sources. Don't believe anybody, really. That's really what it boils down to. Don't believe what anybody says. Check sources and make sure that they're following something which is sound. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Secret of Truth 5824. There is an occultist on YouTube who says that when using the Kabbalion system of magic, that the pillars of the Tree of Life are inverted. And if you don't know this, you will actually be doing the opposite of what you are trying to do. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, I assume when you say Kabbalion system, you're talking about Kabbalistic, not the Kybalion from Three Initiates. William G. Gray actually mentions this in at least one of his books that I know of. When you are looking at the diagram of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, and you've got the three pillars, severity, mercy, and the middle pillar. When you're looking at the diagram, you're looking at it in a specific manner. What William G. Gray mentions is to actually imagine it. How did it go? Imagine that you are standing in a doorway, and in front of you is this Tree of Life. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn it around so that the pillar that you see in the diagram on the left becomes on your body. If you were to project it onto your body, you don't project it directly from the image onto your body. You would turn it around and then put it onto your body. Okay, that's if you were using it in that fashion. And then the left pillar in the diagram becomes your right side of your body. The right pillar that you see as you're looking at it on the page, that becomes the left side of your body. So yeah, there's something to that, but I don't think it's that serious. Usually when you're working with a Tree of Life, you're doing path working usually, going from one sephira to another sephira along the path. You may be meditating on the emanation or the energy of a particular sephira, or you may be meditating on Asiya versus Bria or something like that. There's a lot to the Kabbalistic tree. It's not just about the pillars. And when you are working with the pillars, you are usually not working in a fashion where you are placing it on your body, unless you're doing some kind of healing work. Then then you would be placing it on your body, and going through the various sephira, related to where they are within the body. Like, you know, a Sephira would be the right shoulder, another Sephira would be the left shoulder, and then the right arm, right leg, left leg, etc., etc. But that's, you know, that's only really for healing the physical body. So I wouldn't say that's all that serious. But when you're doing that, when you are actually learning how it relates to the body, the instructions are going to say this Sephira relates to this particular body area of the body. So you're not going to get it mixed up anyway. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Let me try and get back to the next question. Right, that was the one that we just did. So it's this one. Okay, the next question is from the Poisoned Reaper. Does wearing items that deter the evil eye hinder my growth in Daemonolatry or my spiritual group? No. The evil eye is to deflect the evil eye. And the evil eye is usually placed upon you by another magician or witch. It could be a group of people who are jealous of you because you're a celebrity. It's jealousy, usually jealousy in that regard, or it could be eye blinking, putting the evil eye on you from a magician or a witch. But I don't see how it would hinder your growth in Daemonolatry or your spiritual group unless you are considering Daemonolatry and the demons in it to be evil, and therefore the evil eye would counteract the demons, but that's not the case at all. So no, absolutely not. I think I'm going to leave it there today because I'm almost out of questions actually. Right, yeah, so I'm going to leave it there today, and hopefully I'll get more questions for next month, to cover the whole of next month anyway. Alright, so have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers for now. Bye bye.